Welcome back to the Amanda Perry podcast. Thank you for joining me this week. Just a little recap of the week. We have been doing monthly reporting in the agency. Not something I would normally comment on, but I think one of the things that was really, really brilliant to see was just results coming back really strong in ads. And I think that there's this narrative online that ads are dead and they're not working. And actually I've seen a few posts on like LinkedIn this week talking about how iOS was kind of the final nail in the coffin for their brand, and really sad stories about people having to make decisions about their business. But I can tell you from inside and looking across a lot of accounts that results really are starting to come back. I think the key for me is just about really understanding where ads fit into your business and into your unit economics as well, just really understanding those numbers. I think that's the biggest lesson for me and the biggest thing I see with not just clients but all businesses is where there's just not that understanding of the numbers down to a really granular level and a real understanding of what you can pay to acquire a customer and what those metrics really need to look like. So yeah, that's a bit of good news. Another thing that really jumped out to me is just the potential of emails. It never ceases to amaze me how powerful emails can be. Usually when used in conjunction, but again, amazes me how many people I speak to that just don't use emails. And I know there's a few brands that don't, strategically as part of their plan, but I would honestly urge anyone just to give email marketing a go. If you don't currently, I know I bang on about it all the time, but you really should be getting 20 to 30% of revenue, and most accounts that I've been looking at are much more than that, and that has a huge impact in offsetting any spend that you're putting into paid media. So yeah, I would really force anyone who isn't taking emails seriously to start. I would just say just be really careful of this narrative online at the moment. I think it's really switched from everything's amazing and we went through the lockdown bubble, but even beyond that of D2C's the future, and that narrative's kind of really changing to, I'm not going to use the word fear-mongering, but there's a lot of discussion around uncertainty, and I'm not going to sit here and say that there isn't that uncertainty. Obviously you only have to watch the news to see some really concerning figures and information about energy rises and that kind of thing, and that will obviously have a huge impact on people's buying habits. But actually, when I speak to people, the vast majority are doing really well, are having a really good month, or sales are really good. And I guess the lesson there is really about diversification. So having those kind of three legs on your bar stool, so making sure that you have, whether it's wholesale or an online and marketplaces, but just really having those different avenues for revenue. Personally, I have started posting on TikTok, which took me some time because I was such a anti-TikTok even just a few months ago. No, not a few months ago, probably 6 months ago. I was like, oh, it's stupid and people are just dancing and it's for kids, but you have to be hiding under a rock to not notice the impact that it's had on Instagram. Actually, I'm not even going to say that. I don't even think it's the impact it's had on Instagram. I honestly think that Instagram have made such a huge mistake by being so threatened by them and just trying to copy everything they do, because now TikTok do it better. They're always going to do it better. They did it first. So it's a real shame. And I think, everyone who has built a business on Instagram or used it as their kind of main channel to communicate with their audience has really had this sort of strange, disorienting few months as we witness the demise of reach and engagement, which is really sad. So yeah, I'm making a conscious effort to post on TikTok. I'm not going to say it's easy, because you really have to put thought and time into creating the content, and it is a hungry beast as well. But I'm doing my own little experiment and seeing how it goes. So if you want to find me on there, I am Amanda Perry UK. Didn't get in there quick enough to get my Instagram handle, but that's how it goes. So yeah, I'm really pushing content and creative with myself and our clients and the team. So I think that this is an area that will just become more and more important as we go into 2022 and beyond, really. So it's really something to nail for your business, I would say. Anyway, this week's guest is the absolutely gorgeous, inspiring, wonderful Toria from GRAPE and Fig. GRAPE and Fig is a grazing company, but there's so much more than that. They really had to redefine what they did over lockdown, as so many businesses did. But prior to that, and coming out of lockdown, they really nailed this really interesting model of having beautiful food, or beautiful tablescapes, like these gorgeous grazing platters that Toria brought the idea over from Australia, with kind of PR, doing them for big brands and these huge brand collabs, which really helped them just grow phenomenally online. So anyway, she's an absolutely brilliant guest, so generous with her time and knowledge. You'll hear a few real life events, as she has a delivery and then her phone rings a couple of times and she has to leg it to take her daughter swimming, and that is absolutely how life is, isn't it? So we kept all of those bits in for you, because that's just how it goes. So thank you for joining me this week. I really hope you enjoy the show, and here is Toria. Welcome back to the show. Today's guest is single-handedly responsible for introducing the grazing trend to the UK. Following a trip to Australia, where they were already using beautiful meats, cheeses and accompaniments to create almost too good to eat tablescapes, Toria had her eyes set on creating something similar for her own wedding back in the UK. And the rest, as they say, is history. Having worked with brands such as Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Made to create Insta-worthy moments for them, the business grew, and Toria was able to bring her sister Catherine on board, building a true family business. I am thrilled to welcome today someone I hugely admire and I absolutely love speaking to, Toria from GRAPE and Fig. Welcome to the show.
Hello, my love. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. We did an Insta Live a while ago, didn't we? And
I loved it.
I think we were just like, oh, do we have to stop? We could just carry on chatting forever.
Like good old friends having a chinwag. That's the best they're the best podcasts I like listening to, when it's just people who just really get on having a good old chat.
Yeah, you get the best information out, definitely, don't you?
That's
so that was my intro of you, which I always feel a bit weird saying it in front of the person, and when I'm a podcast guest I always feel a little bit weird hearing it as well, because it's like that's like the public part, isn't it, and the story that you put out there. But I just thought it'd be a good place to start by looking at your like career journey and how you actually got to that point of launching GRAPE and Fig, if you have it.
Yeah, it was quite, to be honest, it was quite organic, really. I never set out to be an entrepreneur or whatever it is, or a business owner. I was essentially I was in events, PR, marketing beforehand in the city, in a corporate environment. I'd seen this grazing trend in Australia back in 2012, loved it. Fast forward 4 years, wanted that for my wedding, genuinely couldn't find anyone who got the aesthetic and got the I didn't want olives and ramekins. I wanted it to be styled in with a kind of a really gorgeous grazing table. It just wasn't here in the UK, it just wasn't a thing. So did it myself on my wedding morning, like styled it myself, and then just realized that there was just a really big gap for casual, affordable, but really gorgeous food, not just for weddings, but for, you know, gatherings, events, birthdays, christenings. You know, like my mum, we love a party in my family, and it would always be, you know, like the sandwiches from Costco. You know, no judgment to Costco, but that's what it would be. You know, get the sandwiches out, get a few, I don't know, like sausage rolls and
platters.
and I kind of thought, actually, it doesn't have to cost the world. It can look unbelievably amazing, and it can, you know, there should be food that people really, really enjoy, and you know, that have that experience of eating together and sharing food and creating, you know, this gorgeous, just like experience, really. So you did it for my wedding. Then I started doing it for friends and families, you know, like hen do's, did a wedding for my friend. And then it just slowly just realized, actually, like, this is, people could pay me to do this, you know, like, okay. And then so I started doing it alongside my job, and that was a bit tricky. Did that for like a year and a half, and it was a bit of a juggle.
Wow, that's a long time, isn't it? A year and a
half.
Yeah,
I'm not really a risk taker. Like, I'm not, you know, I've got a load of friends who are, you know, run businesses and things, and they are genuinely risk takers. You know, it's in them. It isn't really in me. I'm quite balanced and not necessarily risk averse, but it
had to get to that point where you were really, because it was a good job, wasn't it? You had a good job, you'd worked at it a long time. No, that makes sense.
And it was like a tipping point, really. And it was a tipping point of, okay, you have to continue with one, choose one. And I just got to the point where I thought, right, I'm just going to give this a go. And we'd built up our Instagram to the point where people, you know, even around like the local people, started to know about us. And we did a couple of celebrity jobs and a couple of big brand jobs that kind of every time it broke a little bit of a ceiling for us. And then I just realized, okay, I'm going to give this a go, quit my job, and then I've said this story so many times, but found out I was pregnant the week after my leaving do, which was a little bit of a nightmare. It was obviously amazing, but I had planned this whole year. So that was 2018. I'd planned all of 2019. I was gonna, you know, had a load of weddings booked in, and I was gonna really take this business to the next level. And then I realized, oh my God, you know, I'm due in August. So that's when I got my sister on board. And then as you said, the rest is history. And we've steadily built this business that we absolutely love. So as I said, it really was a very organic process, and there's kind of steps to it, and it got to the stage where, you know, as I said, it was the job or the business, and I kind of picked the business.
I love that. I think one of the things that I've always loved about your brand, even before we started talking, is like the approach that you took, and you mentioned it there. So, you know, you could have got someone to do your wedding you could have said, oh, here's some Pinterest pictures. This is what I want it to look like. And they'd have said, oh we sort of get it. And they'd, you know, put the ramekins down or have like things cut in weird shapes or something to fit together. But the drive for that aesthetic from you, which was so different to anything that we'd seen in the UK, and then the approach that you took to the business. So it wasn't, I'm going to put some business cards and hope that, you know, Sandra down the road wants something for her christening. You were doing events for Google and Microsoft. And I wonder how much your background in PR and your sort of drive for knowing exactly what you want and what people want really shaped the business in those early days. Like, it could have been so different, couldn't it?
It could have been. I think there's a couple of factors that I think ensured that it kind of worked. One was I was not going to not let it work.
Yeah.
Because I'd given up quite a lot. and I kind of needed to prove to myself and to kind of everyone else that this will work.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty driven when I've got a goal. I literally won't stop until I get there. So, and I definitely think that in terms of that PR and marketing experience, I think I'm how would I put it, quite an opportunist. So I can identify where there are good opportunities, so, and I'll almost how do I put it, so, for example, if someone would come to us and I know that they've got an amazing house or whatever, or it's a brand job and I know that the environment's going to be amazing, well, I'll think to myself, okay, well, I'm going to use that to my opportunity. I'm going to give a little bit for free if I can use it as a photo shoot, and I can use that as content for the brand. And I did that from the very, very beginning, so I'd know where, I'd be able to sense where there's a good opportunity, and and kind of use it for my advantage. So that was kind of something that I've done from the very, very beginning.
And that set you apart straight away, didn't it? I think that's really what, I mean, I'm, no, that's not something that you would say, but I can say it. That really, really set you apart, your brand and your, the aesthetic and the standard and the quality. Because I guess that's another thing, isn't it? That you did create this category and this product and this kind of way of doing things that has inspired, in air quotes, a lot of other people, and it has inspired. I'm not saying that people have copied. You created a category. How do you feel about that, and how do you kind of like be okay with that when you see so many people?
Do you know what it is? It's, there's nothing new under the sun.
Exactly.
That's one of my favorite quotes. There's nothing new under the sun. I was directly inspired by seeing this in Australia. At the time, I didn't realize that it's actually quite a big thing in the US. So like LA, San Francisco. But I'd seen something and I made it my own.
Yeah.
But inspiration comes in all different shapes and sizes. So, but in terms of yes, we did bring it to the idea, the concept to the UK, and I'm quite I'm quite balanced. There had to be someone who brought it over to the UK, and I'm pleased it was us. So I guess there's the overwhelming emotion I have is pride, and we every day we have these companies. Another thing as well, we're a service business, so we're in the catering service industry. So there's lots of things we can do brand and non-food wise that can touch everyone in the UK, but really we're quite restricted in our remit to London and the M25. So there needs to be, it's obviously an amazing trend. People want this. So there needs to be lots of different businesses all dotted around the UK. So, and we get so much lovely feedback from everyone. All these other companies saying that they look up to us and we inspire them, and that's a really genuinely lovely feeling. And the fact that we have kind of accidentally, I guess, created like a sub industry in the UK, it's something that we're super proud of. I will be honest, there are a couple of businesses that if you looked at their pictures and looked at ours, you wouldn't really be able to see the difference. As I've spoken to you a couple of times about, there's only one or two of them really London based, but I think I dealt with it. I think I've had to learn to deal with it much better. And to understand there's only so much you can control. And if you can't do anything about it, you've just got to be bigger and better and carry on looking in your direction and not around you, worrying about it. There's nothing you can do, and it says more about them than it does about you. And just kind of try and grow up a little bit.
I think that's the thing. I heard this brilliant saying that someone was saying that they can take the recipe but their sauce will taste different, or they can follow the recipe but the sauce will taste different or something. And that's it, isn't it? If you're in front away, because I know we've discussed it, and I know that there are so many people out there who are doing these grazing tables and platters to varying degrees of, you know, from the ramekins right through to the beautiful ones. And I think, like you said, that's okay, but there's a respectful barrier, isn't there, around brand and aesthetic
there
and
is.
style.
And this is like what I said to you before. We've created like a really, you know, I think a really beautiful and quite a strong brand. And that's not just because of the platters we create, you know, that's because of our story and our aesthetic and our essence. Like I can't really, you know, it's how we put ourselves
your
across.
Values and your
our values and that's that, you know, that doesn't happen overnight. That's carefully curated and thought about. And not saying that it's, you know, and it you know, naturally it comes about, but we've built this brand with purpose behind. And sometimes when that is when that's trying to be replicated, that can be an issue. But you know, once again, what are you going to do about it? You know, we've spoke to lawyers, we've done this, we've done that. There's not too much you can do about that essence part, that, you know, that, you know, as you said, the values and how customers see you and all of that kind of stuff. So no, I think we're really, really proud, and we're you know, pleased as punch that this kind of subcategory is growing exponentially, and so it should, if people are doing it right and they've got the right, you know, health and safety and food hygiene and all of that kind of stuff. Couple of problems, but we're just going to try and move on
Brilliant.
and upwards.
I think that's it, isn't it? I think, you know, all the time in business you have these things that you come across that could just be distractions, and once you've gone through we had a couple of things last year, some people stuff, and you know, once you go through is there anything we can do legally? Not really. Like there's some huge grey areas, aren't there, in what is in our case slander, or you know, there's some real grey areas there. And once you realize that there isn't anything you can do, it really does just become a distraction and a waste of your energy. And actually that's better. And it kind of comes down to ego a bit as well, doesn't it? Of, you know, am I going to sit here trying to take revenge, or trying to, you know, run my business from the position of making it different from someone else's, or which would just take you away from the essence of yours, wouldn't it? So,
and the thing is as well, you know, I am the kind of person, and I know I'm this kind of person, the opposite to my sister. If we put an Instagram post up, and we don't get, this doesn't happen, but just say we did, we put an Instagram post up, we get 100 comments, 2 of them are negative. I'm going to focus on the 2 negative. I am that kind of person. I'm not a pessimist, I'm not a half glass, you know, empty kind of person, but I'm a little bit that I know that I would focus on that. Catherine would focus on the 98 that are positive. That's why we work so well. That's why we make it work. And it's the same kind of thing with this. There's hundreds of these businesses out there who we're friendly with, and we kind of help them, and we, you know, teach a lot of them, and it's all amazing. There's no point focusing on a couple who are just ripping you off and making money off the back of your idea. You know, you just got to kind of think, okay, right, you know, move on.
That's life, isn't it? Move on. I agree.
Focus on the majority of good.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, you're doing a brilliant job. Just following on from that, you just talked about Instagram. How much do you think that Instagram helped the kind of, you know, your product's so visual and so beautiful. How much do you think that Instagram has helped over the last, you know, 4 or 5 years to grow the brand and to achieve what you have?
Unbelievably. And I think we were on Instagram at the right time. You know, we were saying earlier on, weren't we, that I don't know what is going on with Instagram at the moment, but I'll kind of get onto that. But at the time, because it was very, very new, and because it was aesthetically led, really, it just kind of erupted. And, you know, at the time, there wasn't reels, I don't even think there was stories, there were just pictures on a grid. You know, no one did a video, everyone just put a picture up. So it was like basically a brochure for our work. And we we don't really do huge amounts of kind of advertising, and that has been our word of mouth. That has been our advertisement. That has been, you know, how people share what we do. You know, people just share our pictures to their friends or business to businesses, and, you know, this is this company. So we owe an awful lot to Instagram, much more than kind of Facebook. But we're finding now that there's just a big shift in Instagram. It's so unpredictable. You know, I was saying earlier on, I'm not really a social media expert. You know, I'm an expert in terms of grape and fig social media, you know, in terms of what we do, but I don't really understand what's going on Instagram. You know, we can put a piece of content out that I know a year ago would have so many likes, so much engagement, and it's literally, it could be a hit, it could be a flop, who knows. And it's almost like they do it dip do. That is how I feel at the moment. That's how I feel, like, oh, you know, are we going to let you get through the barrier today, or are we not? That's how maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I, you know, we put photos up, they don't work half as well as they used to. Reels either work unbelievably well, or they just don't seem to, or not at all. So it's really hard to be able to plan, especially when you've got certain messages that you need to put across. You know, we use our Instagram, you know, to sell certain things, you know, Mother's Day, or okay, we're doing this workshop, or there's this discount code, so it needs to get to the people in a timely manner. You know, I don't want to be putting a reel together and then in 5 days it's finding, you know, itself on a discovery page. That isn't going to work for us. So things like TikTok we're having to learn, which is
I think this is, I mean, it really is the Wild West at the moment on Instagram, isn't it? I'm speaking to people every day, and I'm speaking to Instagram experts every day who are having the same, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's just crazy. And I think, I think it's just a bit of I put a story up this morning just saying, I think it really is just a bit of a snowball effect where reach and engagement dropped a bit and people got a bit disillusioned with it. And then, I mean, Instagram are just obsessed with being TikTok at the moment, aren't they? So all these updates, and now we're doing this, and now we're doing that, and now it kind of comes across as a bit desperate. People get a bit confused. And I really think that, you know, the message was create these reels. So people spend, in some cases, hours putting together these reels like you would, you know, yours must take ages, that would then flop. So you kind of just lose the motivation for doing it. So I think that the standard of content has dropped on Instagram because people are just feeling demotivated, and it's natural, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Is causing, you know, drop in engagement, and everyone's talking about going to TikTok. And, you know, there's a lot of people on Instagram that don't even feel comfortable going on stories. So the idea of TikTok is, you know, really, really daunting. And it's unfortunately having a very, very real impact on businesses.
Because we know from our stats that people buy from Instagram. You know, we know that someone will see something, they'll click on the product, they'll go to our website and they'll buy. We know that. We don't know really what that purchase journey looks like on TikTok. You know, my husband has been on TikTok for, you know, he can't stand social media, but the only thing he'll look at is TikTok. You know,
so addictive, isn't it?
But he just consumes things that he's not going to buy. It's just things to kind of laugh at, look at, or kind of, you know, inspire. Oh my goodness, sorry, 1 minute. This is my phone. No, it's the it's the business phone. I'll turn that off.
No, don't worry.
So yeah, it's kind of, I don't really understand what that purchase journey looks like. You know, are people going to look at something on TikTok, and instead of thinking, oh, that looks lovely, are they going to go on our website and buy? Same with like Pinterest. We're trying to do a lot of work with Pinterest at the moment and understand how that works from a content, brand, and then purchase journey. But it's just like a new world for us who've just been doing stuff on Instagram for 5 years. It's been working out lovely for us, and now we're a bit like, oh my goodness.
And maybe that's a good, you know, I honestly believe overall that's a good thing. I think people got really, it was like ads last year, you know, people had a real wake up call when they were working in a very different way to how they had been working before the iOS updates. I think that Pinterest, I think, would be brilliant for you. And I think that there is a real difference in that purchase journey. TikTok, there's even more of a difference because it's, people are on there, it's very short attention span. If you can get them off TikTok, which I do think you'll be able to, but then for me, it comes down to the experience. Like, what are they going on to? If someone from Instagram who's really engaged with you, follows you, loves what you do, sees something that comes up for Mother's Day, they're going to click on it, go on the website, love everything about it, maybe have a look around and then make their purchase. Whereas someone on TikTok who sees it on their For You page and just thinks, oh, that's nice, but maybe I don't need it right now, they're going to want a very different experience and potentially, I think this is where brands really need to start using like multiple landing pages and having platform specific experiences. So, the demographic on TikTok is different to Pinterest, is different to Instagram, and the engagement and where they are in your funnel. So I think that it's just time that brands need to get really clever with that, which is annoying because we haven't had to before, but I also think it will be a bit of a, not survival of the fittest, that's a bit harsh, but it will be a bit of a leveler for businesses, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And having that layered approach as well, having your, we've never had to think about really things like this, but having your mail, campaign, and having your, your Pinterest, your TikTok, your Instagram, your localized, I'm from a media background, I do believe that, traditional media can work as well and does have a place, especially for our kind of local businesses. We did some leaflets for, just local leafleting for Valentine's Day. It was because people aren't used to getting a really gorgeous leaflet through their door saying that, oh, we're down the road, that worked amazingly. But that's not gonna bath the baby on its own. It's that layered approach and exactly what you said, having a different strategy for every layer and understanding what you're trying to do and what the end goal is, and importantly what the experience is,
and how they feed into each other, how they work together as well. I think people get a bit confused and have all these siloed approaches that there's no kind of compound impact from that. So maybe over here they're talking to one sort of person and then that comes to a dead end, and that's not going to work, or that's not going to leverage any kind of budget.
Yeah, and exactly what we were saying earlier on, with like TikTok, I've been on it quite a lot, just trying to understand what works and kind of, I feel a bit old looking at it because there's all these like people who I don't really know, I don't know what they're doing, all these like young'uns, and I'm trying to like work out like, okay, so why is that so popular? And it is this really like raw, unscripted, really quick, addictive videos that you kind of, or little tips or things that you keep wanting to understand more. And so what I've realized is the stuff that we put out on Instagram isn't going to work on TikTok because people don't care. So we're trying to work out now, okay, so do we just do things like behind the scenes in TikTok, so more about the business, the day to day, the behind the scenes here? Is that going to be more interesting? Is that going to be more kind of addictive almost? Or like, what can we do on TikTok that is, what kind of different personality can we give out there? It's still kind of to our brand, but what can we put on there that's different and that people are going to want to come back and think, oh, I wonder what they've put on this week. And it's hard.
I think the challenge for you is going to be getting away from that beautiful aesthetic that you have, because it is raw, and it is, it's almost like you need that short, raw, really snackable, easy to consume stuff that's going to pull in everyone. And then, if you imagine a circle, like the core of that, your audience will stick around for the 3-minute, or they're just about to introduce 10-minute videos, which will be great for you. You can really explain stuff in a 10-minute video, and the core of your audience will stick around and they'll want to see that. But it's that bigger audience that are going to be interested in the, those like 10-15 second videos where you're just talking about one thing. And maybe that's even like being a business owner, it doesn't have to be that front facing stuff.
That is what I mean. It needs to be, I think, a little bit more, not so much product led, but people like, that personality led. That's what
Do you know
we've
what
been
I would
trying.
start doing if I was you? Sorry, I just
Go
completely
on.
cut you off then.
Go on.
Just
No, I
had
love
an
it.
idea. That's my ADHD brain. Sorry.
Go on.
What I would do if I was you is
I've got my pen, Amanda. Got my pen.
I would document how you transition an Instagram brand onto TikTok. Like I would literally document that process. I would be like, we've built a business up on Instagram. Everyone's moving from Instagram to TikTok. I would just be saying, we've built an Instagram business and now we've got to come to TikTok. We haven't got a clue what we're doing. Follow along. And I would just be doing stuff every day that's like, because you'll inspire people who are making that transition from Instagram to TikTok. There'll also be the audience that are already on there that are looking just for like entertainment and business stuff. And I think it'll be a bit more forgiving for you. It'll be like a different approach for you where you're not thinking, now I have to appear on this app and look like I know what I'm doing.
Because we don't.
Yeah. And I think that would be a really cool angle to take. And because you do have an audience on Instagram, I think that'll make it really easy for you to transition them from Instagram to TikTok. Like everyone's going through this. We're going to document how the hell do you like, how do we replicate what we've got on Instagram on TikTok? Follow along.
Love it. Gonna do it. I'm gonna do my first video today, Amanda.
Yes, do it.
Give me a like. Give us a like. Give us a like.
Yeah, I will do it. I'll follow along.
We put it's so funny. I put a video on there the other day. Once again, I have to ask like my brother and stuff what I'm doing, and we got about like 4 likes. And I said to Catherine, we've got 4 likes on TikTok. She looked at me as if to say, "Are you okay? Are you mad?" I'm like, Catherine, you don't understand. We've got about 100 followers. And the fact that 4 people have liked, for me, it's like back in 2018 when I had 1 follower on GRAPE and had 1 like. It feels the same. And to be honest, it's exciting. It's exciting. And this is why I did this, to always have a challenge and to always be, it's a new challenge, which is good.
And that's it. There's like, I don't want to sound like Gary Vee, but the opportunity on TikTok right now is, Instagram when you started. It's that same thing. And I think people keep saying to me, I miss TikTok, I'm not going to miss the next one. You're like, no, TikTok it's still happening. Like get on now. Yeah. There's so much I want to talk to you about, and we're sort of running out of time, but I can't move on without just covering the fact that COVID happened and you own a business where people are reaching in and picking food, and like, what was the impact of COVID on the business and how did you navigate your way through that?
Yeah, well, we lost everything I remember the 23rd of March, remember it's clear as day. We had a whole, all of our bookings for that whole spring, summer into the winter. We had that contracts with big brands. They all pulled out more or less on that. I don't know why. Something must have happened on the 23rd. But I remember it was call after call after call after call of literally just pulling out. So yeah, and then me and Catherine took 2 or 3 weeks off just to kind of let it sink in. And then just realised that, right, okay, there's going to be no events, there's going to be no parties, no gatherings, no corporate brand in real life events. What are we going to do? So bought this like box, like a 25 centimetre by 25 centimetre box, got some crackers, some chutney, and then just thought, right, okay, let's distill a grazing table into this box for one. We realised that people would be gifting an awful lot. People would be wanting to, share their love in a way that they couldn't previously in real life. So doorstop deliveries and all of that would be big. So we called it the cheese box of joy. And we said, okay, every Friday we're going to deliver these anywhere in the M25 for like, sometimes it was free delivery, sometimes it was like a £5. They looked gorgeous. Did load of like celeb activation, sent it to all of our friends who, had supported us previously, and it just went absolutely mad. We've still got the cheese box of joy we sell now. So that kind of carried us throughout that summer. And we were learning, it was a different business model, different logistics, instead of doing one or two grazing tables on a Friday, and doing it ourselves, we were delivering hundreds and hundreds of boxes. So it was all, couriers and all of that kind of thing. So we had to build commercial kind of kitchens down the end of, like, on my property kind of thing. So that was fun. And then just run the business from home, and then realized, okay, we need an e-commerce website, because before it was all manual. And we didn't really need a website before, because it was all inquiries, and we needed that personal touch to put, a bespoke, when people are spending thousands of pounds on a grazing table, now they're spending £45 on a box, and there's hundreds of them. So we had to build a website. So we did act quite quickly, and were like the first to kind of do it. And then, everyone else followed, which was good. And so it kind of helped a lot of other businesses as well kind of survive. And then one of the things I think that saved us was our obsession and priority over content during that time. So we realized that, okay, so we can't cater for these events, but what we can do is we can entertain people, we can teach people how to create these platters at home. So we'd make it clear that we use, really, really high quality artisan cheese, fine. But if you want to go down to your local Tesco, get some cheese, we'll teach you how to make it look really, really lovely, and to, have a glass of wine and spend your Friday afternoon doing this therapeutic platter making. So we created a method, and we'd do lives, and we'd like teach people how to do what we do. And people used to say to us, like, why are you doing this? And it would be like, well, we're not going to be able to deliver to Newcastle or Manchester anyway. Why would we not share this? And people would come to us for inspiration and content, and that's kind of where the dial turned, really, and we've continued with that since. And then we kind of did a few things, when there was the restrictions. You remember you could only have like 6 people or something. So we did something called like Babes Brunch, where we would come and set up a brunch at home for you and 6 friends, and that worked for a period of time. And then slowly, grazing tables started to come back. And what we did do is, before COVID, we used to create these really abundant, very block looking grazing tables, but then we decided, actually, let's create like a modular grazing table using platters. So if people had allergies or especially COVID friendly, when corporates used to come, when corporates came back, they were saying to us, okay, well, we don't want everyone surrounding one big table. We'd like a platter for 6 over there, a platter for 6 over there, so people were socially distancing. So that worked amazingly, and we've kept that even now. We have that same modular grazing table. So we've got through it, and it was really hard. But we've finally got to the point now where I think, right, okay, we've got through it, we've survived it. Let's now just build on what we've created over the last couple of years.
But you've come out of it a completely different business, haven't you? Because you've got your new shop with the workshop and all. Like, it's literally 360 from the kind of catering service business that you were before the pandemic.
Without a doubt. And it was a terrible 2 years for most people for many different reasons, but from a business perspective, when we were in it, it was a bit tough. I was a nightmare to live with. I like lost my mind on many, many occasions, and it took an awful lot from Catherine and I. We did quite, struggle. I think it's really important to say that, it didn't just happen. It was a bit of a drudge, really, but we're grateful in a way, because, as you say, the business, we wouldn't have this shop, because before we would go out, and that's the one thing we've learned. You only change, really. Sometimes you change only because of circumstance, and because you're forced to. And only when you're forced to change, you realise, actually, this is a better way of doing it. Like, we go and set up now. We create everything in our kitchens. We go and set up. So we get them all out of the ice bags, and we're in and out. If we were catering at a venue, we're in and out in 10 minutes.
Brilliant.
Before, we were setting up for like 3 hours, and we say to ourselves, like, what? How did we do it this way? And it's only because we couldn't do it that way anymore, and we had to start preparing in kitchens, and that it's hugely beneficial. So
I love
we're pleased
that.
as punch, really, and we're happy now.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's that saying, isn't it? Necessity's the mother of invention. Sometimes, although clearly no one would have wished the pandemic on anything, I think a lot of businesses have come out more agile and, looking different. I know that you are taking your daughter swimming, but I can't let you go without asking you. I've got two questions, but I'm gonna have to prioritize.
Honestly, I've got 10 minutes, honestly.
Okay, let's do it. So the first one is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? I love this question. I think you get such so many different answers from it, so many different viewpoints.
I wouldn't say that there's been one, because I reckon there's been different pieces of advice have worked for different problems,
Different
if you know,
times,
at different times.
yeah.
But I think Lucy from Never Fully Dressed, a really good friend of mine, and she's kind of like almost like a mentor.
Yeah.
I remember her saying to me, don't wait for the right time, like the right time is now, like just do it. It may not be, I'm a little bit of a control freak and I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and if I had my way, I would wait until something was absolutely amazing until my perfectionist streak was satisfied until I launched it. But what I've learned is you've just got to get stuff out there, especially if you're, as a business owner, you need to listen to your gut. And a lot of the time, especially over the last 2 years, we've had to be very reactive. So we've realized, okay, this is a problem. We need to bring something out to solve that issue or to solve that problem. Well, that isn't, you can't wait 2 or 3 months.
No.
to you need to get it done and get it done now. So, and I think that is one of the reasons why we've done pretty well really over the last 2 years, because we didn't wait months and come up with this Cheese Lots of Dora product and done a load of huge photo shoots and the big marketing. We shot it and put it on Instagram that afternoon, and then we kind of thought, when there's an issue or a problem, we're going to just solve it and be reactive. And that for us has been such a lesson. Just don't wait until the perfect time. Just get something out there. You can always tweak it if you want, and if you need to, and you need to get that customer feedback. If you put something out there and people will react. Let's give an example. We did these Graze cups and they looked amazing. We thought, right, okay, single serve, COVID friendly, amazing, let's go do them. And then they worked amazingly. We got a little bit of feedback saying it was a little bit hard to cut the cheese, for example, in the cup, especially if you've got a glass of wine in your hand. So we thought, right, okay, brilliant, let's be open and honest. They absolutely work. They still do work, but we're going to change to a bowl. And then we launched the bowl, and brilliant. We've sold hundreds of them in a week. And because we thought about it and we shot it that afternoon and we did it, and then that's how it's worked.
Yeah, imperfect action. There's so much to be said for it, isn't it? Just moving.
Yes.
And that's so hard for perfectionists, but perfectionism is often just a form of procrastination, isn't it? Let's
exactly.
be honest. Okay, final question, and then you can go swimming. What 3 pieces of advice would you give to someone growing a business today? And just let's look top level. What would you say are the 3 most important things?
3 most important things, I would say, try and be part of and in front of your brand. I like, this is just personal, but I like brands where I know the people behind it, like I know the owner. That people aspect of it, I think, is important. And try and kind of tell the story of your brand. The brands out there that I absolutely love, a lot of them that we work really, really closely with as a business, they're people orientated. That I think is really, really important. Secondly, no matter how much it costs, do not sorry, there's a delivery here just outside. No matter how much it costs, do not scrimp on quality of your product, because it absolutely will take you above the rest. So the cheese that we use, it is 4 times the amount as what you can get in a general wholesaler, but it makes all the difference. So the quality of your product is really, really important. And I would say something that I wish I told myself a couple of years ago, just try and have a bit more fun. because it is genuinely, it's fun, and it's, you need to kind of take in those moments and enjoy them a little bit more. If you're, well, that's the advice that I would have given myself a couple of years ago. Just take it in a little bit more, enjoy it a little bit more. You know, it's not life or death. It is important in business, but you need to enjoy the process to get the most out of it. And it's like a, you know, the more that you enjoy the experience and the process, the more that you will really, really appreciate, you know, that process. And then and you're kind of, it's cyclical.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, holding things a bit lighter is definitely something that I think we've all had to come to terms with, isn't it? Toria, thank you so much. I'm going to let you go. Take your daughter swimming. I love you. Thank you for coming on the show. I've just so lovely to have this chat, and I'm so proud of everything that you've done, and like, it's just, I don't know, such a joy to watch, like such a beautiful brand flourish and continue to innovate. So thank you so much for making time for us today.
Thank you so much. I love you lots. Thank you for all. You are an amazing mentor for me as well. I always come to you, don't I, Amanda, when I need a little bit of help and a little bit of guidance.
Thank you.
Hugely respect you. So thank you so much, my love.
Well, Mutual Appreciation Society. Have a brilliant day. I will speak to you soon. Take care, and thank you so much.
See you later, my love. Bye.